I think we're ready. Inshallah. Okay, we ready? Okay. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we have reached the 10th of Ramadan, 1444, Saturday. Alhamdulillah, I received a message today that the books, they are indeed here, but they are in Castle Donington. So when I knew that they'd reached the depot, it meant that they wouldn't make it here in time today. So they are here. We see that there is the prime copy that we have there. So inshallah, the kutub should be here for next week. So for now, we have our copies that we're working with, but next week, inshallah, our kutub should arrive from Castle Donington, fresh and ready to go, inshallah. Our first reader, Abu Yusuf Rasha, is going to be reading. We're going to be going from the beginning of the Imam's life and pausing just before the unit on his karamat, inshallah. So we're going to be looking to read from here. So as is the normal amal, I'll be reading the text and then he will be reading the translation and we will build from there. So we will start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وبه نستعين الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد المرسلين وإمام المتقين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, and He, Allah, is sufficient as a protector. Praise be to Allah, Lord of all creation. Peace and blessings be upon our Master, Muhammad, the Master of the Messenger, Imam of the pious, as well as his family, followers and companions in total.
وبعد فيقول الفقير إلى رحمة ربه القدير المعترف بالعجز والتقصير محمد بن محمد السعدي الحنبلي عامله الله بلطفه الخفي والجلي لما تفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى علي بالتحديث بمسند إمامنا إمام الأئمة والشيخ الأمة الإمام المبجل والحبر المفضل أبي عبد الله أحمد بن محمد بن حنبل رضي الله عنه وأرضاه وجعله الجنة مأواه. وكان ختام قراءته في اليوم 7 من ذي الحجة الحرام سنة 86 و800. أحببت أن أجمع نبذة يسيرة من مناقبه ومآثيره وتعريف ببعض أحواله مناخره إذ الإحاطة بجميعها متعرض واستيعاب أكثر فاضله متعسر، لكن ذكرت من ذلك ما لا يحسن بالفقيه جهله خصوصا المقلد لمذهبه.
In addressing the subject, the needy slave of the mercy of Allah, the all-able, the one in contrition regarding his inability and shortcomings, namely Muhammad ibn Muhammad us-Saalih Al-Hanbali. May Allah deal with him in his goodness and tenderness regarding the inward and outward state, remarked, I was favored by Allah, glorified and exalted be He, to hear the recitation of the Musnad of our Imam, the Imam of Imams, Sheikh of the Ummah, and splendid Imam, the favored senior scholar, Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal. May Allah be pleased with him and show him his favor and make his abode the paradise. We completed the recitation of the book on 7th day of Al-Hajj in the year 886. After this, I wanted to gather together a small text containing his virtues and manners, refer to some of his life and times and outstanding qualities. This text was not put together to be voluminous, so the collector can be excused from this as to state more of his favors and virtues than collected here would be a very difficult undertaking indeed. Instead, I have mentioned on the topic what the knowledgeable might be ignorant of, and specifically those who happened to follow his school.
فلما فرغ القارئ من ختم المسند الشريف شرع في قراءة هذه المناقب وكان المجلس مشوحا بعيون كل مذهب من مشايخ الإسلام وغيرهم فحصل لجميع من حضر من الخشوع والبكاء ما لا مزيد عليه فسبحان من رفع قدره واجتنابه وثبته على القيام بالحق واصطفاه وسميتها الجوهر المحصل في مناقب الإمام أحمد بن حنبل.
So once the reader has completed his khatam of the noble musnad, he should then read the book containing these virtues, have a gathering of personalities of each of the madhabs of the sheikhs of Islam and other scholars, and this will result in all those present having much fear of Allah and weeping as long as this does not transgress the bounds. Glorified is the one who raised the rank of the Imam and preferred him, established him upon the truth, and chose him for the mission to do so. I have named this work the most precious jewel that one may handle regarding the life, times, and virtues of the Imam, Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
فصل في بيان وقت ولادته وذكر نسبه.
Unit 1, clarifying the date of his birth and lineage.
أقول بالله التوفيق. قال الإمام محمد بن إسماعيل البخاري صاحب الجامع الصحيح: سمعت بعض أصحابنا يقول: قال أحمد بن حنبل: حملت من مروى وأمي بي حامل، يعني إلى بغداد. وقال ولده الصالح: ولد أبي في ربيع الأول سنة 64 و100.
At the outset, with the success of Allah, I would like to quote the Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, author of the authentic collection, who said, I heard some of our companions of the school saying, Ahmad ibn Hanbal said, my mother conceived me in Moro, but moved to Baghdad afterwards. Imam Salih, the son of the Imam, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, my father was born in the month of Rabi al-Awwal, in the year 164, while the father of the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal died while he was still an infant.
ومات والد الإمام أحمد وهو طفل وأصله من العرب. قال يحيى بن معين: من رأيت خير من أحمد ما افتخر علينا قط بالعربية ولا ذكرها.
The background of the Imam is Arab. Imam Yahya ibn Ma'in, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I didn't see anyone better than Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and I didn't see anyone that gave us more pride in Arabic nor its principles than him.
وقال أبو النعمان عارم: قلت له يوما بلغني أنك من العرب، فقال: يا أبا النعمان نحن قوم مساكين، وما قال لي شيئا.
Abu Nu'man Arim, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I said to the Imam Ahmad one day, it came to my attention that you are Arab. The Imam said, Abu Nu'man, we are a poor and needy people. And he never said anything to me about the matter again.
Okay, so the purpose of why this was stated is because at this time in the Abbasid Empire, the Arabs were a very small body of it. During the Abbasid period, in their heyday, they were bringing in a lot of non-Arabs. And people were worried because there were revolutions and social clashes that were happening within the government. You also have to remember in Iraq during this time, the Chaldeans, not the Armenians, the Chaldeans, the Arabs, and others shared the same dark skin tone. So they were mutually indistinguishable unless lineage was mentioned. So Imam Ahmad was saying, we're just a poor and needy people, meaning that we're not looking for revolution. We're not trying to overthrow the government. We're not trying to do any of these things. Because at that time, the Arabs were seen as a danger by the government because of the fact that many of the Persian influences were coming in, like imperial robes, the use of Persian food, the Persian rugs, right? These things were being brought in, and the Arabs were seen as seditious because they were moving against that culture and those traditions. وقال الصالح: أراني أبي هذا النسب في كتاب، وهو أحمد بن محمد بن حنبل ابن هلال ابن أسد ابن إدريس ابن عبد الله ابن حيان ابن عبد الله ابن أنس ابن عوف ابن قاسط ابن مازن ابن شيبان ابن ذهل ابن ثعلبة ابن عكابة ابن صعب ابن علي ابن بكر ابن وائل ابن قاسط ابن هنب ابن أفصى ابن دعمي ابن جديلة ابن أسد ابن ربيعة ابن نزار ابن معد ابن عدنان ابن أدد ابن هيمسع ابن حمل ابن النبت ابن قيذار ابن إسماعيل ابن إبراهيم الخليل صلوات الله عليه وسلامه. فيتم نسبه ونسب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في نزار.
Imam Salih al-Baghdadi, may Allah have mercy upon him, also said, I was shown the lineage of my father in a text by his hand, which read the following: Ahmad, the son of Muhammad, the son of Hanbal, the son of Hilal, the son of Asad, the son of Idris, the son of Abdullah, the son of Hayyan, the son of Abdullah, the son of Anas, the son of Auf, the son of Qasir, the son of Mazin, the son of Shayban, the son of Dhuhl, the son of Tha'laba, the son of Uqaba, the son of Sa'ab, the son of Ali, the son of Bakr, the son of Wa'il, the son of Qasid. And Qasid is the son of Hind, the son of Afsa, the son of Du'mi, the son of Jadila, the son of Asad, the son of Rabi', the son of Nizar, the son of Ma'ad, the son of Adnan, the son of Ud, the son of Udad, the son of Al-Hamaysa, the son of Hamal, the son of the daughter of Qaydar, the son of Ismail, the son of Ibrahim al-Khalil, peace and blessings be upon them. The lineage of the Imam and the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, join at the point of Nizar.
Okay, so this point, Nizar, when you go back to Rabi'a ibn Nizar, okay, so the Rasul ﷺ is from Nizar. Imam Ahmad is from Rabi'a. Imam Ahmad is from Nizar. So this makes Imam Ahmad the cousin of the Rasul ﷺ through the Adnan. Now his clan is the Shayban. So Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani is his cousin, his clan cousin. They're Shaybanis, right? You have Abdul Qadir ibn Umar al-Taghlabi al-Shaybani, who are also Shaybans. There are Shaybans still today. So cousins and household of Imam Ahmad through the Bani Shayban are still alive today. قلت أكثر الروايات أنه من بني شيبان ابن الذهل كما ذكرناه ورجحه ابن الجوزي ووقع في بعض الروايات. ابن الذهل ابن شيبان أعني بتقديم ذهل ابن شيبان.
I would like to mention that most of narratives state that he was from the sons of Shayban ibn Dhuhl, as we just mentioned. And this is the section of lineage given precedence by Imam ibn al-Jawzi. In some narratives, it is said, he is from the sons of the son of Dhuhl ibn Shayban. So the two names have been reversed.
قال ابن الجوزي وهو غلط واستدل لذلك قال وذهل هذا هو عم ذهل ابن شيبان وقد غلط أقوام فجعلوه من ولد ذهل ابن شيبان.
Imam ibn al-Jawzi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, the reversal of names to Dhuhl ibn Shayban is a clear error. He sought to explain this issue when he remarked, there is a Dhuhl who is an uncle of Dhuhl ibn Shayban, and people have fallen into error by making him the children of Dhuhl ibn Shayban.
لكن قال البيهقي ويحتمل أن يكون الصواب ابن الذهل ابن شيبان كما قال الدوري والبغوي والله أعلم.
But Imam al-Bayhaqi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, it could be the case that the correct form of address in the lineage is the son of Dhuhl ibn Shayban, as was said by Imams al-Dhurri and al-Baghawi in their texts.
والله أعلم.
And Allah knows best.
فصل في بيان منشئه وابتدائه في طلب العلم وذكر بعض مشايخه ومن لقي من العباد والصالحين.
Unit 2. The upbringing of the Imam and making mention of some of the sheikhs and the pious ones he met.
قال الإمام أبو بكر المروذي قال لي أبو عفيف وذكر أبا عبد الله أحمد بن حنبل فقال كان في الكتاب معنا وهو غلي نعرفه فضله وكان الخليفة غائبا بالرقة فيكتب من معه من الناس الكتب إلى منازلهم وتبعث نساؤهم يقولن للمعلم ابعث لنا بأحمد بن حنبل أن يكتب لهم جواب كتبهم فكان يجي إليهن مطأطأ الرأس فيكتب وربما أملينا عليه شيء من المنكر فلا يكتبه.
The Imam Abu Bakr al-Marudhi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, Abu Afif narrated to me that when Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal was mentioned, he remarked, there was in Khutab with us...
Kutab.
There was in Khutab.
Kutab. Now, Kutab is a way of learning in which your parents in the past taught you the rudiments of reading and writing. You learned your rudiments of reading and writing. Once you learned your rudiments of reading and writing, and I discussed this before when we did the introductory class, where the calf, there's a measurement between the head and the boot of the calf. There has to be an exact measurement. So when you write it, it looks the same. The meme looks the exact same. The qaf looks the exact same. It can be annoying when you're a little kid. You have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. What they do in Kutab, or if your parents teach you the Kutab system, is the first thing, and it seems like it doesn't make any sense, they teach you to make circles, just concentric circles at first. These swirly circles, like how the Milky Way galaxy looks, that swirl, they just have you do that on paper over and over again as a little kid. Over and over again as a little kid. Then they have you make lines, squiggly lines, just over and over again. This is before you're ever taught to write. Then when it's time for you to write, now your hand has already been used to making those because you're making what look like qafs, other things. Then they teach you to make the letters. So my grandfather took our hand and he just made this. He said, "What does this look like?" So it looks like a 1. He says, "That's also an alif." Now write it, and we write it over and over again, until the alif was the exact same height every single time. Then the ba. This is what the ba looks like, and he said it's the time. He said the ba, the distance between it is the distance between your fingers when you measure grain. And so you were shown the distance like this, and you were shown over and over and over again. Now, after that happens, you go to Kutab. They test you, they look at your letters. And if your letters, they have you write the letters out several times. If that's right, now you're able to go ahead. But if your khat, if you don't have good khat, you don't have good handwriting or being able to write out the letters, you can't go forward because you're not literate. You're illiterate. So we class that as being illiterate. Now, by the time you get that, you now move to Kutab class, now you're writing, and now you start to take on your basic ulum, to where now, if you've memorized the Quran, they have you write it out. So now you'll write out the Quran. Now, this is still done Mauritania, South Egypt, the Sudan, Libya, Eritrea, right? So Bukhari and Eritrea, if you study the Bukhari, they don't use printed copies. It's handwritten. So the Bukhari is handwritten. It's written out by hand. Because if you're literate, you can't study the Hadith unless you're literate. You can't study the Quran unless you're literate. So they have you write out one. So Imam Ahmad going into the Kutab means that his parents have started him off. He knows his rudiments of reading and writing. He knows his rudiments of Quran. And now he can dictate and write things out. So that's why the Kutab is significant, that expression. Continue.
There was in Kutab with us a young boy known for his virtue. The Khalifa of the time was away in Ar-Raqqa.
Okay, so Raqqa is what happened. Daesh took over Raqqa, killed this muhaddithin. That's a major area for hadith scholars. Many Sahaba came from there. Many books of fiqh were written. All killed. Graves destroyed. Masjid blown up. Continue.
The Khalifa of the time was away in Ar-Raqqa, and he had letters written from him sent to the homes of people. The women of the area had a letter drawn up and sent to the teacher that read, "Send Ahmad ibn Hanbal to us so that he can write some things down in answer to the letter sent out." So the young boy came to them, walking while his head was bobbing up and down.
Right, because he was a little kid, and when you're small at that age, big head, little body. Right?
And he prepared to write. They must have dictated something evil for him to write down, as when he was told, he would not write.
Right, so they probably dictated some little dirty limericks or something silly to write down. He wouldn't write it because he knew, even at that age, he knew, I'm not writing that. Right, so he had that sense about him where he had that wara and taqwa even when he was small. وابتدأ في طلب العلم وعمره 16 سنة وسافر في طلبه إلى البلاد البعيدة ومخائل النجابة طاهر عليه حتى قال عبد الرحمن بن مهدي فيه وهو الصغير لقد كاد هذا الغلام أن يكون إماما في بطن أمه.
The Imam began the search for knowledge at 16 years of age and travelled in search of it to distant lands at great personal cost to him. Imam Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said of him while he was young, "It is almost as if this young man has been ordained to be an Imam in the belly of his mother."
وأخذ عن جماعة من العلماء منهم سفيان الثوري وسفيان بن عيينة وأبو يوسف القاضي ووقيع بن الجراح وعبد الرزاق بن همام الصنعاني وإسماعيل بن علية وهشام بن سعيد وهشام بن عبد الملك أبو الوليد الطيالسي وأبو نعيم الفضل بن دكين ويزيد بن هارون وأبو عاصم النبيل ويحيى بن سعيد القطان وغيرهم ولقي رضي الله عنه خلقا كثيرا من الصالحين الزهاد.
He took from a collective of scholars, among them being Sufyan al-Thawri, Sufyan ibn Uyayna.
Okay, so Sufyan al-Thawri is one of the people on the 40 Qadi panel of Imam Abu Hanifa. Okay?
Al-Qadi Abu Yusuf.
He's one of the 40 on the panel.
Waqi ibn al-Jarrah.
He's one of the 40 on the panel.
Abd al-Razaq ibn Hammam as-Sana'ini.
Sana'ani. He's a Yemeni.
Ismail ibn Ulayya.
He's a student of Abdullah ibn Mubarak, one of the 40 on the panel.
Hishab ibn Sa'id. Hishab ibn Abdul Malik Abu al-Wahid
Abdul Walid.
Abu al-Walid at-Tayalisi.
One of the 40 on the panel.
He also learned from Abu Nu'man al-Fadl ibn Dukain, Yazid ibn Harun,
one of the 40 on the panel.
Abu Asim al-Nabil, Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, and others. The Imam, may Allah be pleased with him, also met a large body of pious people and those engaged in refraining from earthly desires.
قال إمام أبو بكر المروذي سمعت أحمد بن حنبل يقول ما أعدل بالفقر شيئا رأيت قوما صالحين لقد رأيت عبد الله بن إدريس وعليه جبة من لبود وقد آت عليه السنون والدهور ورأيت أبا داود الحفري وعليه جبة مخرقة وقد خرج القطس منها يصلي بين المغرب والعشاء وهو يترجج من الجوع ورأيت أيوب بن النجار وقد خرج مما كان فيه وكان معه الرشاء يستقي به مكة وقد خرج من كل ما كان يمكنه وهو من العابدين وكان في الدنيا فتركها في يد يحيى القطان وقد رأيت بجال العابد وكنت أسمع صوت خفه في الطواف بالليل ولقد كان في المسجد رجل يقال له العوفي يقول من أول الليل إلى الصباح قال فاشتهيته النظر إليه فإذا هو شاب مصفر ولقد رأيت حسين وكان يشبه بالراهب ورأيت بالكوفة أفضل منه ورأيت سعيد بن عامر بالبصرة.
The Imam Abu Bakr al-Marudhi remarked, I heard Imam Ibn Ahmad saying, I had no issue with being destitute. I saw many pious people. I saw Abdullah ibn Idris, who was wearing a long garment made of wool and it had patches and wear marks on it. I also saw Abu Dawood al-Hafari, who wore a patched long garment, so old the cotton had worn away. And he was making salah between Maghrib and Isha, and would rock back and forth due to hunger.
Right, so these are people of Zuhud who they weren't making an act of it. They really didn't have very much, but they had the piety, they had the taqwa, they had the iman, they had the righteousness, they had all these things, right? And that's the people Imam Ahmad wanted to be around.
I had the chance to meet Ayyub ibn al-Najjar, and he had just stopped rocking. He used to carry a bucket with a rope around it and pull water up from the Zamzam well while he was in Mecca, and he was one of the worshippers. He had some possessions but left them in the hands of Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Khittan. I saw Bajala the worshipper, and I could hear the sound of his khufs on the ground while he was making tawaf at night in Al-Masjid al-Haram.
All right, so his hoofs would scrape the ground because there wasn't tiling yet there. So his hoofs are scraping the ground. Why? Why can you hear the sound of his hoofs? Well, because on the ground in Mecca, you didn't have the tiling there is now, and people would wear the hoofs to protect their feet. So you can hear the sound of the hoofs scraping as he's making tawaf, which means he's wearing the hoofs out, he's using them, and they're also being subjected to the heat of the ground. But that doesn't matter.
There was a man in the masjid by the name of Al-Awfi, standing in worship from the night until the morning. He said, I took pleasure in looking at this man, as he is a young man exerting himself in worship. I have seen Hussein, and he resembled the monk in manners. Hussein, and he resembled the monk in manners, and I have not seen anyone in Al-Kufa more noble than him. And I've also seen Sa'id ibn Amir in Al-Basra.
Okay, so understand that what he's making reference to when he said that he enjoyed looking at the worshipper Al-Awfi, because looking at the signs of Allah is an act of worship. It's an act of blessing. And he sees these people as signs of Allah, as signs of blessing. So by looking upon them, he sees, I get reward by looking at these people. وقال في مجمع الأحباب قال الحافظ أبو بكر الخطيب في تاريخ بغداد قصد حاتم الأصم الحج فلما دخل بغداد قال لبعض أصحاب الإمام أحمد أحب أن أزور أحمد بن حنبل فقال له أمضي بنا إليه فلما دخل عليه في منزله فإن قال له صاحبه حاتم قصد زيارتك والسلام عليك فأقبل عليه أحمد تحادثا ساعة طويلة ثم قال له أحمد بعد بشاشة يا حاتم فيما تخلص من الناس فقال يا أحمد في ثلاث قال وما هي قال أن تعطيهم ما لك ولا تأخذ من ما لهم شيء وتقضي حقوقهم ولا تستقضي من أحد منهم حقا.
It was mentioned by the author of the gathered texts for the loved ones, Al-Hafiz Abu Bakr Al-Khatib, mentioned in History of Baghdad. Hatim the Deaf set out intending Hajj. When he entered Baghdad, he said to one of the companions of the Imam, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, I would love to visit Ahmad ibn Hanbal. The companion of the Imam said to him, come with us to see him. When he came into his presence at his home, the companion said, Hatim has come intending to visit you and give salam to you. The Imam beckoned him in and they spoke for some time. Imam Ahmad then said to him, after exchanging some pleasantries, Hatim, what are the ways in which people can become purified? Hatim responded, Ahmad, it is in three things. The Imam said, and what are they? Hatim said, the three are that 1, you give the people what you possess and don't take anything belonging to them. Number 2, you fulfill the rights of the people and you don't seek any right from any of them, and that.
وتحتمل مكروههم ولا تكره أحدا منهم على شيء. قال فجعل أحمد ينكر بصعبه على الأرض فيقول إنها لشديدة إنها لشديدة. قال له حاتم وليتك تسلم وليتك تسلم وليتك تسلم.
And number 3, you bear the things you dislike from them, but don't impose anything they would dislike on any one of them. Ahmad then placed his hand on the ground and traced a line while saying, this is very difficult. Yes, it is difficult indeed. Hatim then remarked, if you turn the affair over, you will be safe. If you turn the affair over, you will be safe. If you turn the affair over, you will be safe.
Now this is talking about the tools of ihsan, personal purification, carrying on with righteousness. So Imam Ahmad is asking about the tools of righteousness. Why would he ask him about the tools of righteousness? Because not just for himself, but for those present as well. So sometimes you might ask a question you know the answer to, not just for yourself, but for those present that can also hear it. وقال في مجمع الأحباب في ترجمة الحارث المحاسبي رضي الله عنه قال في المناقب قال محمد بن خفيف رحمه الله دخلت يوما على القاضي علي بن أحمد فقال لي يا أبا عبد الله ها هنا لكم حكاية تحتاج تكتبها بماء الذهب فقلت أيها القاضي ماء الذهب لا أجده ولكني أكتبها بالحبر الجيد فقال بلغني أنه قيل لأبي عبد الله أحمد بن حنبل أن الحارث بن أسد يتكلم في علم القوم ويحتج عليه بالآيات والسنن فقال أحمد أحب أن أسمع كلامه من حيث لا يعلم بموضعه فقال له الرجل أنا أعمل هذا فاتخذ دعوة ودعا الحارث وأصحابه.
The gathered text for the loved ones has another narrative regarding the biography of Al-Harith Al-Muhaysibi. May Allah be pleased with him. It was mentioned in the virtues, Muhammad ibn Khafif, may Allah have mercy upon him, remarked, one day I came into the presence of Al-Qadi Ali ibn Ahmad. He said to me, Abu Abdullah, here is a narrative I am about to give you that you need to write down with golden ink. So I said, Al-Qadi, I don't find any golden ink, but I can write it with very good standard black pitch ink. Al-Qadi replied, it came to my attention that it was said to Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal that Al-Harith ibn Asad Al-Muhaysibi spoke in speculative theology and utilized that with ayat and sunan statements as well. Imam Ahmad said, I would like to confirm this by sitting down and hearing his words from a place where he does not see me. A man said to him, I can arrange this action. So a meal was set up and Al-Harith and his companions were called to it.
Well, yes, because he doesn't want to accuse a man of Ahl Bid'ah, because this is bid'ah. So he doesn't want to say this is bid'ah before he sits and knows for sure this is the case, because he doesn't know anything wrongful about him. So this is the thing of not jumping to something before you understand the details about it. Right? It's all about examining the case to understand, to know for yourself. Right? So the Imam, he wanted to know for himself, because as far as he knows, which is an assumption of, we assume someone's righteousness until definite proof is brought otherwise. So he wasn't content with hearing someone say it to him. I need to see for definite proof that this person is guilty of innovation. Okay, so then he carries on from here. ودعا أحمد فجلس أحمد حيث لا يراه الحارث فلما حضرت الصلاة تقدم الحارث وصلى بهم المغرب وأحضروا الطعام فجعل يأكل ويتحدث معهم فقال أحمد هذا من السنة فلما فرغوا غسلوا أيديهم فقال أحمد هذا أيضا من السنة ثم جلس الحارث وجلس أصحابه فقال من أراد منكم أن يسأل عن شيء فيسأل فسئل عن الإخلاص وعن مسائل كثيرة فأجاب عنها بأحسن الجواب واستشهد عليه بالآيات والسنن وأحمد يسمع فلما مرت هوي من الليل أمر الحارث قارئا يقرأ شيئا من القرآن فبكى بعضهم وانتحب آخرون ثم سكت الحارث ودعا بدعوات خفاف ثم قام إلى الصلاة فقال أحمد قد يبلغني غير هذا أما هذا فلا أنكر منه شيئا زاد في رواية أخرى أن الحارث لما أخذ في الكلام بقي أصحابه يسمعون كأنما على رؤوسهم الطير فمنهم من يبكي ومنهم من ينتحب قال فجئت إلى أحمد وكان في غرفة فوجدته باكيا وقد غشي عليه فتركته ثم عدد إليه ولم يزل هذا حالهم في القراءة والذكر إلى آخر الليل فلما صلوا ذهبوا جئت إلى أحمد بن حنبل فقال ما أعلم أني رأيت مثل هؤلاء القوم ولا سمعت في علم الحقائق مثل كلام هذا الرجل أو كما قال انتهى.
And Imam Ahmad was called as well, although he sat in a place where he could hear but could not be seen by Al-Harith. When the time for Salah came, Al-Harith went forward, discharged Salatul Maghrib with them, and then food was brought forward afterward. He sat with the people and spoke to them. Imam Ahmad said, indeed this is from the Sunnah. Upon completion of the meal, they washed their hands, To which the Imam said, "This is also from the Sunnah." Al-Harith and his companions then sat down, and he remarked, "Whoever among you that would like to ask a question about anything, then let him do so." He was asked about Ikhlas and many affairs, and he answered them well and brought to bear ayat from the Quran and Sunnah with text, and Imam Ahmad listened to it all. When some of the night had passed, Al-Harith ordered someone to recite from the Quran, and when this was done, some of them wept while others held their places. Al-Harith was silent for some time, and then he made some short supplications. Then he stood up to make the salah and discharge its rites. Imam Ahmad said, "Something different to this reached me about him."
Okay, so he thought something else had reached me about him, but he confirmed that it was something different.
In terms of what happened here today, nothing deserves repudiation. Another narrative continues that Al-Harith, upon speaking on affairs, the rest of his companions remained silent, sitting in complete stillness. Some wept while others held their places. I then came to Imam Ahmad and found him in an adjoining room weeping. He wept to the degree that he was swooned. So I left him in that state and returned to the people. And I found they were just as they had been when I left them, engaged in recitation and dhikr. And this lasted up until the end of the night, when they stood for salah and discharged its rites. I came to Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He said to me, "I have not seen anyone like these people, nor have I heard knowledge of the realities of things like the speech of this man."
Okay, so he was truthful in this regard. So Al-Harith al-Muhasibi was truthful in this regard. فإن قلت قد نقل فقهاء الحنابلة في كتبهم أن الإمام أحمد تكلم في الحارث المحاسبي وأنه قيل له يا أبا عبد الله يروي الحديث وهو ساكن خاشع، فغضب الإمام أحمد وجعل يحكي ولا يعدل خشوعه ولينه ويقول لا تغتر فإنه الرجل سوء لا يعرفه إلا من خبره ولا كرامة له.
Someone may say it was narrated by Hanbal fiqh scholars in their books that the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal had spoken on the matter of Al-Harith al-Muhasibi. It was said to him, "Abu Abdullah, he narrates the hadith while silent and engaging in topics on fear and longing." This made the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal angry, and he did not hold in high regard these stories about fear and longing. He responded, "Do not be deceived by this, as he is an evil man, and no one knows any narrative from him in reality, nor is there any wonder for him."
Because that's what reached him in that respect. But then he went to double check and look into the matter, and the affair changed. قلت هذا الكلام من الإمام أحمد محمول على أنه كان في أول أمره بحسب ما بلغه عنه، ولما سمع كلامه بغير واسطة بينه وبينه تحقق حاله وظهر له مقامه وعلو شأنه، ويدل على ذلك قول الإمام أحمد قد كان يبلغني غير هذا إلى آخره.
I would answer this by saying that this speech from the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal is built on the fact that he knew about Al-Harith at the beginning of his affair and what had reached him. Once he heard Al-Harith al-Muhasibi without any mediator between him and Al-Harith, he could then truly know his state. So it then became clear to him the rank of Al-Harith, the high status of his affair, and this is proven by what the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal said once he heard him speak. Something different to this reached me about him, up until the end of the statement.
وقال في ترجمة السر السقطي رضي الله عنه حكى الراغب وغيره أن سر السقطي لما ترك التجارة كانت أخته تنفق عليه من غزلها فابطأت عليه يوما فسألها عن ذلك فقالت أن غزلي لا يشتر لأنه مختلف بعضه أرفع من بعض، فامتنع السري من طعامها لذلك وغزل على أنه لا يأكل مما عندها بعد ذلك. ثم إن أخته دخلت عليه بعد ذلك فرأت عنده عجوزا تكنس بيته، وكانت تلك العجوز تأتيه كل يوم برغيفين، فطمت أخته وراحت إلى الإمام أحمد بن حنبل فذكرت له ذلك. فلما كلمه أحمد بن حنبل في ذلك قال له سري هذه الدنيا أمره الله عز وجل أن تخدمني وتأتي إلي بقوتي أو كما قال انتهى.
Regarding the biography of Imam Sirri as-Saqiti, may Allah be pleased with him, the following was said. Al-Raghib and others related that upon Sirri as-Saqati, upon leaving trade, his sister used to spend maintenance upon him from her wealth that she took from spinning yarn. One day she was slow in bringing forth the maintenance, so he asked her about that. She said, well, my spinning yarn was not purchased, as it was intermingled in different parts. So As-Sirri refrained from her food, and he would not consume anything that she possessed thereafter.
It's because he didn't know what part of something might have been doubtful and what was not doubtful. So because he was concerned about that, he refused to take any maintenance from her.
One day his sister came into his presence and saw that there was an old woman in his house sweeping around the place. That old woman would come to him every day with 2 loaves of bread. His sister was struck by that. So she headed out to the Imam, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and mentioned that to him. When Imam Ahmad and As-Saqati spoke about that, As-Sirri said to him, this is the earthly life. Allah Mighty and Majestic has commanded that it serve me, and she came to me from him with my nourishment. The Imam, may Allah be pleased with him.
Okay, so the point of this is that in spite of his loss of the maintenance from his sister, this one woman came to serve, to act as a worker in his house, to clean up. And so she would come and clean up and also cook and bake food for him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked after him in that way. وكان رضي الله عنه يتأسف على عدم اجتماعه بالإمام مالك لأن مالك رضي الله عنه توفي في السنة التي طلب الإمام أحمد فيها الحديث وهي السنة 79 و100. فكان يقول فتنن مالك فأخلف الله علي سفيان بن عييني فاتني حماد بن زيد فأخلف الله علي إسماعيل بن علي.
The Imam, may Allah be pleased with him, felt sorrow about having not been in the gathering to learn from the Imam Malik ibn Anas. May Allah be pleased with him, as he died in the year in which the Imam Ahmad had set out and started looking for hadith, which was the year 179. Imam Ahmad used to say, well, I missed Imam Malik, so Allah gave me Sufyan ibn Uyayna in place of him. I missed Hamad ibn Zayd, so Allah gave me Ismail ibn Ulayya in his place.
واجتمع بالإمام الشافعي رضي الله عنه وأخذ عنه الفقه وأصوله وكان رضي الله عنه يقول ما حمل أحد محبرة ولا مس قلما إلا وللشافعي في عنقه منه.
And Imam Ahmad used to be in gatherings with the Imam Ash-Shafi'i, may Allah be pleased with him, and he took from him fiqh, usul al-fiqh. Imam Ahmad used to say of him, no one carries ink nor touches a pen except that this individual owes Ash-Shafi'i a debt in gratitude.
ولما ذكر الشيخ محي الدين النووي هذا الكلام عن الإمام أحمد قال بعده هذا قول إمام أصحاب الحديث وأهله ومن لا يختلف الناس في ورعه وفضله. ثم قال النووي ومن كلماته يعني الإمام أحمد إن الشافعي مكنه الله تعالى من أنواع العلوم حتى عجز لديه المناظرون من الطوائف وأصحاب الفنون. انتهى.
The Shaykh Muhyiddin An-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy upon him, cited these same words from the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and then said afterward, this is the statement of the Imam of the companions of Hadith and their people, and no two people differ in his wara and virtue. Imam An-Nawawi then said after that, and from the statements of the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal is where he said, indeed Allah, exalted be He, made all the types of sciences easy for Ash-Shafi'i to work in, to the degree that onlookers were unable to form amongst the different groups and companions of various plenary sciences.
وقال الإمام أحمد ما صليت صلاة منذ 30 سنة إلا وأنا أدعو للشافعي كذا في الحلية للحافظ أبي نعيم. وقال الإمام الغزالي في الإحياء 40 سنة ولكثرة دعائه له قال له ابنه أي رجل كان الشافعي حتى تدعو له كل هذا الدعاء؟ قال يا بني كان الشافعي كالشمس الدنيا وكالعافية للناس.
The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal remarked, I have not made a single salah for 30 years except that I would supplicate for Imam al-Shafi'i afterwards. And this was also cited by Al-Hafiz Abu Nu'aym al-Asbahani in Ornamentation of the Saints, and the Imam al-Ghazali in Revival of the Sciences, but he said the number was 40 years. And Imam Ghazali went on to say, and due to all the supplications he used to make for Imam al-Shafi'i, the son of Imam Ahmad asked him, what kind of man is al-Shafi'i that you supplicate for him all of this time? The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal remarked, son, al-Shafi'i is like the sun in the earthly life and a means of pardon for the people.
فصل في ذكر صفته وهيئته وسمته وملبسه ونظافته وسهولة أخلاقه وحسن معاشته وكثرة أدبه وتواضعه وعدد حجاته وأولاده وزوجاته وسراريره.
Unit 3. Making mention of his physical description, gait, mannerisms, clothing, and how clean they were in appearance, his good disposition, noble earning, abundant etiquette, humility, the number of Hajj he made, his children, as well as his free and slave wives.
أما صفته فروى الحافظ أبو فرج بن الجوزي رحمه الله بسنده إلى أبي جعفر العقبري قال رأيت أحمد بن حنبل وكان شيخا مغضوبا طوالا أسمر شديد السمرة.
In terms of his description, Al-Hafiz Abu Faraj ibn al-Jawzi quoted a transmission all the way back to the Sheikh Abu Ja'far al-Uqbari, who said, I saw Ahmad ibn Hanbal and he was an old man. He had henna in his beard and very tall in stature, and he had very dark brown skin. And again,
وروى بسنده إلى محمد بن عباس بن الوليد النحوي قال رأيت أحمد بن حنبل رجلا حسن الوجه ربعة من الرجال يخضب بالحناء خضابا ليس بالقان في لحيته شعرات سود ورأيت ثيابه غلاظ إلا أنها بيض ورأيته معتما وعليه إزار.
And again, there is another chain of transmission leading to Muhammad ibn al-Abbas ibn al-Walid, the grammarian, who said, I saw Ahmad ibn Hanbal and he had a good looking face, well built. He dyed his hair and beard with henna. He did not have any grey hairs in his beard, but rather his hair was black. His clothes were exceedingly white, and he was wearing an imama as well as an izar.
Okay, so this tells you then his mannerisms and his gait and his behavior. He's wearing an amama and the izar, right? And this is his regular amal, right? Now, the khidab is a particular type of henna that when mixed together will make the hair look almost black. It's an extreme dark brown. And it's mentioned in Sunnah of Rasulullah and other ahadith. Abu Bakr came to him one day and he saw that all of his hair was really white. And he said, you should use khidab on this. And so Abu Bakr, he started using the khidab on it. So the khidab causes the hair to turn this very dark brown. It's a shade just before black. Right? وأقول اختلفت الرواية في وصفه بالطول والقصر ويمكن الجمع بينهما بأنه كان متوسط القامة فمن وصفه بالقصر جعل ذلك بالنسبة إلى من هو زائد الطول ومن وصفه بالطول جعله بالنسبة إلى من هو ناه في القصر وسيأتي عن ثعلب أنه قال في صفته رأيت رجلا كأن النار توقد بين عينيه.
I would like to mention that the different narratives about him being tall and some saying that he was short can be reconciled between, and we can state that he was medium in height. The one who described him with being shorter would be speaking from his own standpoint, while the one describing him with exceeding tallness would be doing so from his own standpoint. Imam Tha'alab, may Allah have mercy upon him, mentioned in the description of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, I saw a man that looked as if he was a flame between his eyes.
وقال حميد بن عبد الرحمن الرؤاسي كان يقول لم يكن من أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أشبه برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هديا وسمتا من عبد الله بن مسعود، وكان أشبه الناس بعبد الله بن مسعود علقمة بن قيس، وكان أشبه الناس بعلقمة إبراهيم النخعي، وكان أشبه الناس بإبراهيم منصور بن المعتمر، وكان أشبه الناس بمنصور سفيان الثوري، وكان أشبه الناس بسفيان ووقيع بن الجراح. وقال محمد بن يونس وكان أشبه الناس بوقيع Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
The follower, Humayd ibn Abdurrahman al-Ru'asi.
Okay, so Humayd ibn Abdurrahman al-Ru'asi is one of the teachers of Imam Ahmad. Who are some of his teachers? His teachers are Nafi' ibn Abi Nafi' al-Ru'asi and Nafi', both of whom are companions. So there are two companions. One is Nafi' ibn Nafi' al-Ru'asi, and another one is Nafi' ibn al-Harith. So al-Ru'asi is a tabi'i. This is one of the people, one of the sources of Imam Ahmad being a tabi'i. So Humayd ibn Abdurrahman al-Ru'asi took from two of the companions, and he is a teacher to Imam Ahmad. So Imam Ahmad is a tabi'i. This is one of the many sources of more than 20 of Imam Ahmad taking from tabi'een. Thus it means he's tabi'i.
The follower, Humayd ibn Abdurrahman al-Ru'asi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, It used to be said that there was no one of the companions of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, that resembled the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in behavior and manner more than Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And there was no one that resembled Abdullah ibn Mas'ud more closely in those two things than Al-Qamah ibn Qais. And there was no one who resembled Al-Qamah more in those two things than Ibrahim an-Nakhai. Ibrahim an-Nakhai. And there was no one who resembled Ibrahim an-Nakhai in these two things more closely than Mansur ibn al-Mu'tamir. And there is no one who resembled Mansur ibn al-Mu'tamir more closely in these two things than Sufyan al-Thawri. And there is no one who resembled Sufyan al-Thawri more closely in these two things than Waqi ibn al-Jarrah. Imam Muhammad ibn Yunus, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, and no one resembled Waqi ibn al-Jarrah more closely in these two things than Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وأما نظافته فقال عبد الملك الميموني ما أعلم أني رأيت أحدا أنظف ثوبا ولا أشد تعاهدا لنفسه في ثيابه وشعر رأسه وبدنه من أحمد بن حنبل.
As far as the cleanliness of the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Imam Abdul Malik al-Maymuni, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I don't know if I saw anyone with cleaner clothes, more particular about maintaining his clothing, the hair on his head and his body than Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وأما سهولة أخلاقه وحسن معاشته وكثر أدبه وتواضعه فقال محمد إبراهيم البوشنجي ما رأيت أحدا في عصر أبي عبد الله ممن رأيت أجمع منه ديانة وصيانة وفقها وعلما وأدب النفس وكرم الخلق وثبات قلب وحسن معاشة وملكا لنفسه وإطلاقا لها.
With respect to gentleness of his manners, good behavior, etiquette and humility, Imam Muhammad ibn Ibrahim al-Bushanji, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I haven't seen anyone in the time of Abu Abdullah, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who has gathered more than him in terms of religion, cleanliness, agreement with the truth, knowledge, etiquette, good manners, establishment of his heart on the truth, good manner, and good affair with himself and others and others than him.
وقال إبراهيم الحربي كان أحمد بن حنبل قد وفق للأدب وسدد بالحلم وملي بالعلم.
Imam Ibrahim Al-Harbi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, Ahmad ibn Hanbal was in total accord with etiquette, goodness in forbearance, full of knowledge.
وقال خطاب بن بشر وقال أبو عثمان الشافعي لأبي عبد الله لا يزال الناس بخير ما من الله عليه ببقائك، وكلام كثير من هذا النحو. فقال له لا تقل هذا يا أبا عثمان، ومن أنا من الناس في الناس.
The Shaykh Khattab ibn Bishr, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, Abu Uthman al-Shafi'i said to Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the people will always remain upon good as long as Allah keeps you amongst us. And he went on speaking on the same fashion for some time. Imam Ahmad replied, Abu Uthman, don't say that. Who am I among the people?
وقال أبو بكر المرزوذي سمعت أبا عبد الله أحمد بن حنبل يذكر أخلاق الورعين، فقال أسأل الله ألا يقمتنا أين نحن من هؤلاء. وقلت له ما أكثر داعين لك، فتغرغرت عيناه بالدموع، فقال أخاف أن يكون هذا استدراجا، أسأل الله أن يجعلنا خيرا مما يظنون ويغفر لنا ما لا يعلمون.
Imam Abu Bakr al-Marudhi, may Allah have mercy upon him, remarked, I heard Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal mentioning the manners of the people of Wara, and then said, I ask Allah that He does not put disgrace upon us. How do we really compare to the people of Wara? I said to him, look at the people making supplication for you. The eyes of the Imam overflowed with tears, and he said, I fear some slip or deception could come from this matter. I ask Allah that He make us better than that which they think, and forgive us for the slips that the people don't know about.
وأما عدد حاجاته فقال ولده عبد الله حج أبي 5 حجات، 3 منها ماشيا واثنتان راكبا، ورافق في بعضها يحيى بن معين، واتفقا على أنهما بعد انقضاء الحج يمضيان إلى صنعاء اليمن يأخذان الحديث عن عبد الرزاق، فوجداه في الطواف، ولما فرغ اجتمع عليه وكان لا يعرف أبي بشخصه وإنما يعرف باسمه. فقال له يحيى بن معين هذا أخوك أحمد بن حنبل، فقال حيه الله إنه ليبلغني عنه كل ما أسر به. ثبته الله تعالى على ذلك، ثم وعد يحيى الشيخ على القراءة، فلما انصرف عنه قال أبي لأبي معين لم أخذت على الشيخ موعد. فقال له يحيى قد راحك الله مسيرة شهر ورجوع الشهر والنفقة. فقال الإمام أحمد ما كان الله ليراني وقد نويت نية أفسدها بما تقول، ثم السفر إلى صنع اليمن وأخذا عنه بها.
As for the amount of Hajj he undertook, his son Imam Abdullah ibn Ahmad, may Allah have mercy upon him, declared, my father undertook Hajj some 5 times, 3 of them on foot and 2 on riding mount. On one Hajj, he was accompanied by Yahya ibn Ma'in, and they both agreed that they would head to Sana'a in Yemen after completion of their Hajj in order to take hadith from Abdul Razak as-Sana'ani. They both found him making tawaf. When Abdul Razak completed his tawaf, Imams Ahmad and Yahya ibn Ma'in gathered to him, and he did not know my father by his face, but just his name. Imam Yahya ibn Ma'in said to Abdul Razak, this is your brother in Islam, Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Imam Abdul Razak said, may Allah give him long life, so that all of what reached me about him carries on. May Allah exalted be He establish him firmly on that. So Imam Yahya had the Shaykh promise that they would do some reading together, and he agreed that. When the 2 of them departed, my father said to Imam Yahya, why did you take a promise from your Shaykh? Imam Yahya said to him, Allah has given you ease, as I've set up the journey for you for your round trip. It is 1 month there. Your stay your stay and 1 month return your maintenance. So the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal said, may Allah cause him to not see me as I've made mention to nullify that which you say. So the two of them set out on their journey to Sana'a and in the Yemen, and took the hadith from him as they had agreed.
Okay, so Imam Ahmad, the reason why he said this is he didn't want Yahya bin Ma'in paying his way for him. I don't want you to pay my way for me or take a promise from the Sheikh. If I go, I'll go, but I don't want you to take any pay for me. I don't want any handout or any charity from you in this regard. وصح عن الإمام أحمد أنه قال ما كتبت حديثا إلا وقد عملت به حتى مر بي أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم احتجم وأعطى أبا طيبة الحجام دينارا فاجتمعت وأعطيت الحجام دينارا.
It is authentically narrated from the Imam that he said, I did not write down a single hadith except that I acted upon it, so much so that I came across a text in which the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, made hijama and gave the hijama giver Abu Tayba 1 dinar. So I then had hijama done and gave the hijama giver 1 dinar.
So his closeness to the Sunnah, his care of the Sunnah, right? That's important, that people care about the Sunnah. وأما أولاده وزوجاته وسراريره فأكبر أولادي صالح وكنيته أبو الفضل ولد سنة 300 وروى عن أبيه وأبو الوليد الطيالسي وعلي بن المديني وروى عنه ابنه الزهير والبغوي ومحمد بن مخلد وولي قضاء إسبهان وهو من زوجته عباس بنت الفضل توفي سنة 65 و200 ولما توفي أمه عباس في حياة والده تزوج بعدها ريحانة وهي ابن عمه. وقال غزالي في الإحياء يقال إنها تزوج في يوم الثاني من وفاة زوجته وقال أكره أن أبيت عزبا.
Turning our attention to the number of children, free and slave wives of the Imam had, we will begin by saying that his eldest child is Salih, his kunya being Abu Fadl. He was born in the year 203, and he narrated from his father as well as Abu Walid at-Tayalisi and Ali ibn al-Madini. Madini. Those who narrated from him include his son Zuhair al-Baghawi and Muhammad ibn Makhlid. Imam Abu al-Fadl was given judgeship over Asbahan. He was the son of Imam Ahmad's wife, Abbasa bint al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl Salih would die in the year 265. When Salih, Abbasa, died in the lifetime of Salih's father, he, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, immediately married Rayhana, who was his paternal cousin. Imam al-Ghazali said in Revival, it is said that he married Rayhana the second day after the death of his wife Abbasa. And he said of this, I dislike living alone for too long.
Okay, so he got married, so you have 3 days mourning. But he got married again the second day of the 3 days of mourning because he said, I dislike being alone, because Ahmed did not want to be alone for too long, because it's not a regular amal of a man, especially Qurun al-Thalath, to be alone for too long and to be unmarried. It's a regular amal to be married and to not be alone. Right? This is one of the reasons why my mom used to get on me so much. Like, listen, you know that you're not doing, and it's understood, because even if you know you're not going to get in trouble, yeah, but I'm busy doing. Doesn't matter what you're busy. You know you're not supposed to do this and this and this and this, and that's correct because it is the Sunnah. And mothers often won't know. They won't know the nusus, but they know the actual haqq of the nusus. They just don't know. You can't tell them, oh, where's the adillah, mom? They don't know where the adillah, but they know that this is the haqq. And that's why sometimes, mothers have an edge in ways that we don't see. وَرِحَانَةُ هَذِهِ هِيَ أُمُّ وَلَدِهِ عَبْدِ اللَّهِ وكنيته عبد الله أبو عبد الرحمن، وسمع من أبيه وأكثر عنه، من عبد الأعلى الحماد ويحيى بن معين، ومن أبي بكر بن أبي شيبة وأخيه وخلق كثير. قال الذهبي: كان إماما خبير بالحديث وعلله مقدما فيه، ولما مرض قال: ادفنوني بالقطيعة. فقيل له: ألا تدفن عند أبيك؟ يعني بمقدرة باب الحرب. فقال: صح عندي أن بالقطيعة نبيا مدفونا، ولأن أكون في جوار النبي أحب إلي من أن أكون في جوار أبي. وكانت وفاته في سنة 90 و200، وسنه 77 سنة كأبيه.
The next wife, Rehana, is the mother of his son Abdullah, his kunya being Abu Abdurrahman. He heard knowledge from his father, and in fact most of his knowledge he took from him. He also learned from Abdul A'la ibn Hamad, Yahya ibn Ma'in, Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, and his brother along with many more. Imam al-Dhahabi said of him, Abdullah was an Imam well informed of the Hadith text and its flaws and influences, and was preeminent in the field. When he became ill, he said, bury me at the place known as Al-Qati'ah. It was said to him, don't you want to be buried at the same place as your father? He was referring to the Harb Gate graveyard. Abdullah responded, it was authentically reported to me that there is a prophet buried at Al-Qati'ah, and so that I be buried near a prophet is more beloved to me than that I be buried near or next to my father. Imam Abdullah died in the year 290, and he was 77 years of age, just like his father.
وللإمام أحمد ولد اسمه سعيد من سريرة يقال لها حسن، ولي قضاء بالكوفة، وله منها ولد اسمه محمد، وآخر اسمه الحسن. قال ابن الجوزي: ولا أعرفه من أخبارهما شيئا. وله بنت منها اسمها زينب، وله منها ولدان طؤمان، أحدهما الحسن والآخر الحسين، ومات بالقرب من ولادتهما. وله بنت اسمها فاطمة، سيأتي النقل عنها في ذكر كرامته رضي الله عنه ونفعنا ببركاته.
The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal also had another son named Sa'id, from a slave wife that had been freed, who was named Husn. Sa'id became a Qadi in Al-Kufa. Husn gave birth to another son named Muhammad, followed by another bearing the name Al-Hasan. Imam Ibn al-Jawzi said, I don't know of any narratives about these other two sons. And Husn also gave birth to a daughter named Zainab, and two sons named Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein, both of which died not long after birth. The Imam also had a daughter Husn gave birth to, named Fatima. Narratives from Fatima bint Ahmad will be forthcoming when we mention the wonders of the Imam. May Allah be pleased with him and benefit us with his blessings.
وأما كثرة أدبه وتواضعه فقد تقدم النقل عن يحيى بن معين أنه قال: ما رأيت خير من أحمد بن حنبل ما افتخر علينا قط بأن أصله من العرب. وتقدم كلام أبي النعمان.
When looking at the abundance of manners and humility that he possessed, we have previously narrated from Imam Yahya ibn Ma'in that he said, I have not seen anyone that we might boast about from the lineage of the Arabs better than Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And statements were already quoted from Imam Abu Nu'man, may Allah be pleased with him.
Alright, because at this point, a whole lot of non-Arabs had come into the religion. So the Arabs had become few. So Arabs were looking like, well, look, we've got Imam Ahmad. He's one from amongst us with our lineage. So they boasted about him because they said so many non-Arabs. And this is one of the proofs of Islam, that people who are not Arabs, they don't have the lineage of the Arabs. They come in and they have their own footprint in the religion. Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Nasa'i, right? They're not Arabs, and they are the authors of the Sihah. Imam Buti is Kurd, right? Imam Wahab al-Zuhaili is Kurdish, right? So many big Imams down through the past. Wali Allah al-Dehlwi, right? Is Gujarati. All these big Imams. Ahmad al Khan is Pathan. He's from the Barketi clan, right? All these people that have come to us are all non-Arabs, right? Because your lineage is not the decider of taqwa. Your taqwa is the decider of taqwa. And so the people that put in the most effort get the most out of it. And during this time, remember, the Abbasids are Arabs, but they're tyrants. They're tyrants. So the people that are striving by the righteousness aren't based upon lineage. It's based upon who has the taqwa. فصل في تأدبه في طلب العلم وثناء الإلياس والخضر عليهما السلام عليه وإرسالهما السلام وإليه وثناء مشايخه ومن طبقته عليه واستفادتهم منه والرواية بعدهم عنه.
Unit 4. Making mention of his manner of seeking knowledge. Praise being heaped upon him by the prophets Ilyas and Al-Khidr. Peace be upon them both. They're sending salam to him. His sheikhs and contemporaries heaping praise upon him, seeking benefit from him, and some of them narrating from him.
قال ابن الجوزي رضي عنه في المناقب بسنده إلى إدريس بن عبد الكريم قال لي خلف جاءني أحمد بن حنبل يسمع حديث أبي عوانة فشهدت وأنا أرفعه فأبى وقال لا أجلس إلا بين يديك وأمرنا أن تواضع لمن نتعلم منه وأما الثماء والإلياس والخضر عليهما السلام عليه وانفذاؤهما السلام إليه. فذكر الحافظ ابن فرج بسنده إلى أبي حفص القاضي قال.
Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, may Allah have mercy upon him, mentioned in virtues with a chain of transmission to Al-Qadi Idris ibn Abdul Karim, may Allah have mercy upon him. Khalaf said to me, Ahmad ibn Hanbal came to me to listen to the hadith of Abu Awana on diverse matters. I tried earnestly to seat him in a raised position in class, but he refused, saying, I don't like to sit anywhere except in front of you. We have been commanded to show humility to whoever we learn from. As far as the prophets Ilyas and Al-Khidr, peace be upon them, heaped praise upon him and conveying salam to him, Imam Abu Faraj Ibn al-Jawzi narrated with a chain of transmission to Abu Hafs al-Qadi the following.
قدم على أبي عبد الله أحمد بن حنبل رجل من بحر الهند فقال إني خرجت أريد الصين فأصيب مركبنا فأتاني ركبان على موج من أمواج البحر فقال لي أحدهما تحب أن تخلص الله على أن تقرأ أحمد بن حنبل منا السلام قلت ومن أحمد ومن أنتما يرحمكم الله قال أنا إياس وهذا الملك المؤكل بجزائر البحر وأحمد بن حنبل بالعراق قلت نعم فنفضني البحر نفضة فإذا أنا بالساحل الأبلة فقد جئتك أبلغك منا السلام منهما السلام.
A man came from the Indian Ocean to see Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and he said, I set out on a journey intending China when our boat was blown off course. There then came to me two men riding on waves of the ocean. One of them said to me, would you love for Allah to purify you because you conveyed salam upon Ahmad ibn Hanbal for us? I asked, who is Ahmad and who are you two men? May Allah have mercy to both of you. The one that spoke the first time said, I am Ilyas, and this is the angel entrusted with the passage of the waves of the ocean. As for Ahmad, this refers to Ahmad ibn Hanbal in Iraq. The water then calmed down for me, and when I reached the shore of Al-Uballah, I disembarked. Then I came to you right after that to convey salam to you from them.
وقال بلال الخواص كنت في تي بني إسرائيل فإذا رجل يماشيني فعجبت منه ثم ألهمت أنه الخضر فقلت له بحق الحق من أنت قال أخوك الخضر قلت له أريد أن أسألك مسألة. قال سل. قلت ما تقول في الشافعي؟ قال من الأوتاد. قلت فأحمد بن حنبل؟ قال صديق.
Bilal al-Khawas said, I was in one of the encampments of the children of Israel when a man came right up to me, and this surprised me greatly. And I felt that this was Al-Khidr. I said to him, by the truth of the one true God, who are you? He said in reply, I am your brother, Al-Khidr. I then said, I want to ask you a question. He replied, ask me what you will. I then asked, so what do you say of Ash-Shafi'i? He said, one of the supporting pillars of the religion. I then said, and what of Ahmad ibn Hanbal? He responded, he is a Siddiq.
وقال في مجمع الأحباب في رواية أخرى عن بلال الخواص قلت له ما تقول في بشر بن الحارث؟ قال لم يخلف بعده مثله. قلت فما تقول في أحمد؟ قال صديق. قلت فما تقول في أبي ثور؟ قال رجل طالب حق. قلت فأنا بأي وسيلة رأيتك؟ قال ببرك لأمك.
It was mentioned in the gathering texts for the loved ones, and in another narrative from Bilal al-Khawas. So what do you say about Bishr ibn al-Harith? Al-Khidr said, no one shall come after him. I then said, what do you say about Ahmad ibn Hanbal? Al-Khidr remarked, he is Siddiq. I then said, and what you about Abu Thawr? Al-Khidr responded, a man seeking truth. I then said, so through that means I accorded the honor to see you. Al-Khidr replied, on account of the honor you showed to your mother.
وقال إسحاق بن إبراهيم البستي سمعت أبي يقول قال رجل من أهل بغداد ركبت سفينة في البحر فخرجنا إلى جزيرة فرأيت شيخا قاعدا أبيض الرأس واللحية فسلمت عليه فقال إذا أتيت بغداد فأقرأ أحمد بن حنبل السلام فقل له فاصبر إن وعد الله حق ولا يستخفنك الذين لا يوقنون. ثم غاب الشيخ فعلمنا أنه الخضر عليه السلام.
The Muhaddith Ishaq ibn Ibrahim al-Busti said, I heard my father saying once that a local Baghdad man narrated, I was aboard a boat in the ocean and we came to an island, and upon disembarking I saw an old man sitting down with both grey hair and beard. I gave salam to him, and he said to me, when you get back to Baghdad, please convey salam to Ahmad ibn Hanbal and recite the following ayah to him. So exercise patience. Indeed, the promise of Allah is true, and do not allow those who have no certainty cause you worry or sorrow. Then the Shaykh disappeared, and we knew that at that moment that this was Al-Khidr, peace be upon him.
وأما ثناء مشايخه ومن في زمرتهم عليه فقد كان ذلك من ابتداء شيبته حتى قال الحارث بن عباس قلت لأبي مسهر هل تعرف أحدا يحفظ على هذه الأمة أمر دينها؟ فقال لا أعلم إلا شابا في المشرق يعني أحمد بن حنبل.
With respect to his sheikhs and those of his time heaping praise upon him, this was the case from the beginning of the prime of his youth to the point that Al-Harith ibn Abbas said, I said to Abu Mushir, do you know anyone from this ummah who memorized the whole of the religion? Abu Mushir responded, I don't know anyone who did this except for a man in the prime of his youth in the east. And he was referring to Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وامتدحه الإمام الشافعي رضي الله عنه بالبيتين مشهورين وهما قالوا يزورك أحمد وتزوره قلت الفضائل لا تفارق منزله إن زارني فبفضله أو زرته فلفضله فالفضل في الحالين له.
The Imam al-Shafi'i praised him in two popular couplets of poetry in which he declared, they said, Ahmed visits you and you visit him often. I would say in reply, the virtues never depart from his dwelling. So if he should visit me, then that is by his virtue, but as for me, If I should visit him, then it is by his virtue, and yet in both states the virtue is for him towards me.
وقال إن الإمام أحمد أجابه بقوله إن زرتنا فبفضل منك تمنحنا أو نحن زرنا فللفضل الذي فيك فلا عدمنا كلا الحالين منك ولا أطاع فيك إله العرش شانك.
The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, upon hearing this poetry from Imam Ash-Shafi'i, answered him with his own. If you should visit us, then that is due to a virtue from you that you bless us. And if we should visit you, then it is due to a virtue in you that you give us. Whether you visit us or we visit you, we cannot bear without you. One is not in obedience to the God of the throne if he has enmity towards you.
وروى الشافعي وغيره من مشايخه عنه قال الإمام الجوزي في مناقب بسنده إلى الربيع بن سليمان قال أخبرنا الشافعي قال أنبأنا الثقة من أصحابنا عن يحيى بن سعيد القطان عن شعبة بن الحجاج عن قيس بن مسلم عن طارق بن شهاب أن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال إنما الغنيمة لمن شهد الوقعة. قال الخطيب البغدادي رحمه الله قال لي أبو الفضل علي بن أبي الحسين الحافظ الرجل الذي لا يسميه الشافعي وهو الذي قال في الرواية عنه أنبأنا الثقة من أصحابنا هو أحمد بن حنبل.
Imams Ash-Shafi'i and others among Imam Ahmad's sheikhs narrated from him. Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, with a chain of transmission going back to Rabi' ibn Sulaiman, may Allah have mercy upon him, mentioned in virtues. Ash-Shafi'i narrated to us. It was narrated to us by the trustworthy one from our companions, from Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Khattan, from Shu'aybah ibn al-Hajjaj, from Qais ibn Muslim, from Tariq ibn Shihab, who said, Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, said, war treasure is for the one who was present in the theatre of war. Al-Khattab al-Baghdadi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, Al-Hafiz Abu al-Fadl, Ali ibn al-Hussein, said to me, the man who was not named in the above narrative was Imam Ash-Shafi'i. He is in the one mentioned in the narrative as the trustworthy one. As for the reference to the one of our companions, this is in reference to Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وقال الحافظ البيهقي وروى عبد الرزاق يعني أحد مشايخ الإمام أحمد عنه قال وفي ذلك فضيلة سنية لأحمد ثم قال أخبرنا أبو عبد الله الحافظ يعني الحاكم في كتاب رفع اليدين حدثنا أبو إسحاق إبراهيم بن يحيى حدثنا محمد بن المسيب حدثنا مهدي حدثنا قصار الجرجاني حدثنا عبد الرزاق حدثنا أحمد بن حنبل عن الوليد بن مسلم عن زيد بن واقد قال سمعت نافعا مولى ابن عمر يذكر أن ابن عمر كان إذا رأى مصليا لا يرفع في الصلاة حسبه وأمره أن يرفعه يديه.
Al-Hafiz al-Bayhaqi said, Abdul Razak, one of the sheikhs of the Imam, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, narrated from him. And in this it is clear the Sunni rank possessed by Ahmad. It was narrated to us by Al-Hafiz Abu Abdullah al-Hakim in the book of raising the hands in the Salah. It was narrated to us by Abu Ishaq Ibrahim ibn Yahya. It was narrated to us by Muhammad ibn al-Musayyib. It was narrated to us by Mahdi. It was narrated to us by Al-Qassar al-Jurjani. It was narrated to us by Abdul Razak. It was narrated to us by Ahmad ibn Hanbal, from Al-Walid ibn Muslim, from Zayd ibn Waqid, who said, I heard Nafi', the freed slave of Ibn Umar, mention that when Ibn Umar saw someone making salah and not raising his hands, he would rebuke that individual and command him to raise his hands as well.
وكان جميع مشايخه رضي الله عنه وعنهم يعظمونه ويحترمونه ويرجعون إليه فيما يفتى به وفيما يخبرهم به من الأحاديث الصحيحة فيذهبون إليها.
And all the sheikhs of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah be pleased with him, and them respected him, honored him, returned to his judgment when he gave rulings and whenever he informed them of affairs connected to the authentic hadith, they would defer to that.
وحكى خلف بن سالم قال: كنا في مجلس الإملاء عند يزيد بن هارون فمزح يزيد من مستمليه فتنحها أبو عبد الله بن أحمد بن حنبل فضرب يزيد بيده على جبينه وقال: ألا علمتموني أن أحمد ها هنا حتى لا أمزحه.
Imam Khalf ibn Salim narrated the following. We were in the gathering for dictation from Yazid ibn Harun, and Yazid jested with one of those dictating. Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal cleared his throat to let him know he had arrived. So Yazid ibn Harun smacked his forehead with his hand and said, "Why didn't all of you inform me that Ahmad was here so that I wouldn't be joking around at that time?"
Right, so they saw him in a pattern in which they didn't feel like they should jest or joke around him. So when they normally, as they are in themselves, they might be joking and jesting. So when Imam Ahmad arrived, he said, "Oh, just to let them know that he was here," because obviously there's ladies in the house and other people like that. So if you're in a house where there are ladies, you need to use the bathroom, you clear your throat when you're going upstairs, you clear your throat when you're coming down, so people know that you're there. Well, Imam Ahmad arrives and he wanted to let people know that he's arrived, so that way ladies wouldn't be inadvertently affected. But then also he finds out that Imam Ahmad's there, which upsets him. He says, "Why didn't you tell me that he had arrived earlier?" He said, "Because I was jesting and being normal with you," and he doesn't like to be like that around Imam Ahmad. وقال محمد بن عبد الملك بن زنجوي: رأيت يزيد بن هارون يصلي فجاءه إليه أبو عبد الله أحمد بن حنبل فلما سلم يزيد من الصلاة التفت إلى أحمد وقال: يا أبا عبد الله ما تقول في العارية؟ قال: مؤداة. فقال له يزيد: أخبرنا حجاج بن الحكم قال: ليست بمضمونة. فقال له أحمد بن حنبل: قد استعار النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من صفوان بن أمية أدرعا فقال له: عارية مؤدبة. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: العارية مؤداة. فسكت يزيد وصار إلى قول أحمد بن حنبل.
The Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Malik ibn Zanjaway, may Allah have mercy upon him, declared, "I saw Yazid ibn Harun making salah when Abu Abdullah Ahmad ibn Hanbal came to meet him. When Yazid ibn Harun made taslim from his salah, he returned to Ahmad ibn Hanbal and said, Abu Abdullah, what do you say about things borrowed or collateral? He said, it is wajib to return the item or its value when it has been destroyed. Yazid ibn Harun then said to him, it was narrated to us by Hajjaj from Al-Hakam, who said that the borrowed or rented things is not entrusted or guaranteed. The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal then said to him, the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, borrowed a coat of armor from Safwan ibn Umayyah, who said to him, so the thing borrowed or rented is wajib to be returned or have its value given if it is destroyed. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, yes, the thing borrowed or rented is wajib to be returned or have its value given if it is destroyed. Yazid ibn Harun then became silent and held to the statement of Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وكان الشافعي رضي الله عنه يقول له يا أبا عبد الله إذا رأيت الحديث الصحيح فأخبرني حتى أذهب إليه. وفي رواية أخرى قال الشافعي لأحمد أنت أعلم بالأخبار الصحاح منا فإذا كان خبر صحيح فعلمني به حتى أذهب إليه كوفيا كان أو بصريا أو شاميا. نقل ذلك البيهقي وغيره ولذلك كان الإمام أحمد يقول من رأيت أتبع للسنة من الشافعي.
Imam al-Shafi'i, may Allah be pleased with him, used to say, Abu Abdullah, when you find this Sahih Hadith, then narrate it to us and inform us about it so that I might take hold of it. And in another narration, Imam al-Shafi'i said to Imam Ahmad, you are more knowledgeable of the Sahih narratives than us. So when there is a Sahih narrative, then teach it to us so that we may take hold of it, whether it be from Al-Kufa, Al-Basra, Sham, or so forth. And this was narrated and handed down by Imam Al-Bayhaqi and those besides.
وقال الإمام أبو بكر الأثرم أخبرني عبد الله بن مبارك وهو شيخ سمعت منه قديما وليس بخراساني قال كنت عند إسماعيل بن عليا فتكلم الإنسان فضحك بعضنا وسمى أحمد بن حنبل فقال فأتينا بعض إسماعيل فوجدناه غضبان فقال أتضحكون وعندي أحمد بن حنبل.
And it is due to that the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal used to say, I have not seen anyone more stringent in following the Sunnah than Ash-Shafi'i. The Imam Abu Bakr al-Athram narrated, it was narrated to me by Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, who was a sheikh I listened to for some time, that was not from Khurasan.
Okay, so understand then that Abu Bakr al-Athram's background, he is from Turkic stock. He's Turkic, but he lived from near the Afghanistan area. Abdullah ibn Mubarak is one of the people on the 40 Qadi panel of Imam Abu Hanifa,
who said, I was in the presence of Ismail ibn Ulayya when someone spoke and one of us laughed and Ahmad ibn Hanbal looked on. Ismail ibn Ulayya then came to us and we found out he was angry. He said, you dare to laugh while Ahmad ibn Hanbal is in my presence?
Right, so he took him very seriously. He's like, listen, we don't laugh about that because he's coming to rehearse the ilm with us. What are you laughing for about this? وقال عبد الرزاق بن همام الصنعاني رحل إلينا أربعة من رؤساء الحديث الشاذكوني وكان أحفظهم للحديث وابن المديني وكان عارفهم باختلافه ويحيى بن معين وكان أعلمهم بالرجال وأحمد بن حنبل وكان أجمعهم لذلك كله.
The Imam Abdul Razak ibn Hammam as-Sana'ani, may Allah have mercy upon him, remarked, there are four people that travel to us from the very leaders of hadith. Ash-Shadakuni, who was the most rigorous of them in hifd of hadith. Ali ibn Madani, who was the most knowledgeable of the different narratives and narrators in them. Yahya ibn Ma'in, who was the most knowledgeable of the men in the chain of transmission. And Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who had gathered all of the aforementioned together completely.
وقال أبو يعقوب ما رحل إلى أحد بعد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما رحل إلى عبد الرزاق.
Imam Abu Yaqub, may Allah be pleased with him, discussed, I never travelled to anyone after the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, like how I travelled to Abdul Razak as-Sana'ani, Muhammad ibn Asqar.
وقال محمد بن عسكر قال عبد الرزاق ما رأيت أفقه من أحمد بن حنبل ولا أورع.
Muhammad ibn Asqar said, Abdul Razak said, I have not seen anyone with more fiqh or wara than Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وقال يحيى بن سعيد القطان ما قدم علينا مثل أحمد بن حنبل.
Imam Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, may Allah have mercy upon him, observed, no one that arrived and came into our presence was like Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وقال الشجاع بن مخلد كنت عند أبي الوليد الطيالسي فورد عليه كتاب أحمد فسمعته يقول ما بالمصريين يعني بالبصرة والكوفة أحد أحب إلي من أحمد ولا أرفع قدرا منه.
Imam Shuja' ibn Makhlid, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I was in the presence of Abul Walid at-Taylasi when he narrated a book from Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and he said, there is no one in the two cities, meaning Al-Basra and Al-Kufa, more beloved to me and higher in rank than Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وقال عبد الله من الإمام أحمد حضر قوم من أصحاب الحديث في مجلس في مجلس أبي عاصم النبيل وقال لهم ألا تتفقهون وليس فيكم فقيه وجعل يذمهم فقالوا فينا رجل فقيه فقال من هو قالوا الساعة يجيء فلما جاء أبي قالوا قد جاء فنظر إليه فقال له تقدم فقال أكره أن أتحط الناس فقال أبو عاصم هذا من فقهه ووسعوا له فوسعوا فدخل فأجلسه وألقى عليه مسألة فأجاب فألقي ثانية فأجاب وثانية فأجاب ومسائل أخر فأجاب وقال أبو عاصم هذا من دواب البحر ليس هذا من دواب البر أو هذا من دواب البر وليس هذا من دواب البحر.
Imam Abdullah, the son of the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, stated, a group of the companions of Hadith were in a gathering of Abu Asim and Nabil, and he said to them, are you studying fiqh, and there is no faqih among you? He censored them strongly by saying the statement. They then said, there is a man among us that is a faqih. Abu Asim said, who is the faqih among you? They said, inside of the hour he will come. After that time my father arrived, and they said, the faqih we referenced has come. Abu Asim looked at him and said, indeed he has arrived. Then he said, I disliked that the people should crowd around him. Then he said, this is from his fiqh indeed. Give him space. They then gave space so that he could enter in, and he was given a seat to take. Some matter was brought to him, and he answered it. A second matter was brought, which he answered, and then a third, which he also answered. Other matters were brought, and he answered them as well. Imam Abu Asim and Nabil, may Allah have mercy upon him, declared, this is like someone from the very depths of the ocean and not from the land, or he is from land and not from the depths of the ocean in terms of knowledge.
وقال أحمد بن أبي الحواري سمعت الهيثم بن جميل يقول إن لكل زمان رجلا يكون حجة على الخلق وإن فضيل بن عياض حجة على أهل زمانه وإن عاش هذا الفتى سيكون حجة على أهل زمانه يعني أحمد بن حنبل.
Imam Ahmad ibn Abil Hawari, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I heard Al-Haytham ibn Jamil saying, for every time is a man that is a proof against the creation. Fudail ibn Iyad was a proof against the people of his time. This young man, if he lives, shall be a proof against the people of his time. And he was referring to Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
وقال أحمد بن منصور خرجت مع أحمد بن حنبل ويحيى بن معين إلى عبد الرزاق حاديا لهما فلما عدنا إلى الكوفة قال يحيى بن معين أحمد بن حنبل أريد أن أخرج لأبي نعيم يعني الفضل بن دكين شيئا من أحاديثه واختبره في أثنائه فقال له أحمد بن حنبل لا تفعل الرجل ثقة. قال يحيى لابد لي وأخذ ورقة وكتب فيها 30 حديثا من حديث أبي نعيم وجعل على الرأس كل 10 منها حديثا ليس من حديثه ثم جاءوا إلى أبي نعيم فدقوا عليه الباب فخرج وجلس على الدكان طين على بابه فأخذ أحمد بن حنبل فاجلسه عن يمينه وأخذ يحيى بن معين فاجلسه عن يساره وجلست أسفل الدكان فأخرج يحيى بن معين الورقة فقرأ عليه 10 أحاديث وأبو نعيم ساكت ثم قرأ 11 فقال له أبو نعيم هذا ليس من حديثي اضرب عليه ثم شرع ابن معين في القراءة إلى أن وصل إلى الحديث الآخر فقرأه فقال له أبو نعيم هذا ليس من حديثي اضرب عليه ثم قرأ 10 الثالث وقرأ الحديث الآخر فتغير وجه أبي نعيم وانقلبت عيناه وقبض على ذراع أحمد ثم التفت إلى أبي نعيم وذراع أحمد في يده وقال لأبي معين أما هذا يعني أحمد فعروا من أين يعمل هذا أما هذا قال ابن منصور يشير إلي فأصغر إلى أن يفعل مثل هذا ولكن هذا من فعلك يا فاعل ثم أخرج رجله فرفس يحيى بن معين فرمى به من الدكان وقام فدخل داره فقال أحمد ليحيى ألم أمنعك من ذلك وأقول لك إن الرجل ثبت.
Imam Ahmad ibn Mansur, may Allah have mercy upon him, narrated, I came out with Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Yahya ibn Ma'in to go to Abdul Razak. When he returned to Al-Kufa, Yahya ibn Ma'in said to Ahmad ibn Hanbal, I want to take something from the hadith and texts of Abu Na'im, meaning Al-Fadl ibn Dukain, at the beginning of its time. Ahmad ibn Hanbal said to him, don't do that. The man is trustworthy. Yahya then said, I have to do that. He then took a piece of vellum and wrote 30 ahadith on it from Abu Na'im, Al-Fadl ibn Dukain. And at the beginning of each 10 of them, he put a hadith that was not from what he narrated.
No, what he's trying to do is test him out. So I want to see if I can catch him out. I'll just put these here to try to stump him and see what happens, to see if he can really hear me out. Now listen, this is a major help of the hadith. Imam Ahmad said, don't do that. Don't do that. He said, no, I have to do it. I have to do it. I'm going to test the waters. See what the old man knows. Poke the bear a little bit. Right? You're about to find out what happens.
They then came to Abu Nu'aym and knocked on his door. He came out and sat at a clay doorstep in from his door. Ahmad ibn Hanbal came and took his place on the right of him, while Yahya ibn Ma'in took his place on the left. I sat under ad-Dukkan, and Yahya ibn Ma'in brought out the vellum pages. He recited to the Shaykh, and then a hadith, and Abu Nu'aym was silent. When he reached the 11th hadith, Abu Nu'aym said to him, "This is not from the hadith that I narrated and put forth." Then Ibn Ma'in began to read up until he reached another hadith that he read. Abu Nu'aym said, "This is not from the hadith that I have narrated and put forth."
Okay, so understand that. He knows, wait a minute, I didn't narrate this to you. I didn't narrate this to you. Right? So he did it the first time. He's like, I didn't narrate this to you. So they carry on. Everything seems normal. Then he throws in another one. And Abu Nu'aym was like, I didn't narrate that to you.
Then Yahya ibn Ma'in recited the 13th hadith and then another hadith. When this happened, Abu Nu'aym's facial expression changed. He rolled his eyes and grabbed the arm of Ahmad ibn Hanbal while turning to Ibn Ma'in. And while Ahmad's arm was in his hand, he said to Ibn Ma'in in reference to this one, meaning Ahmad ibn Hanbal, "He has too much wara to do something like this act."
Right? So he said he knows better than to do something crazy like this. What are you doing? Right? That's why he grabbed Imam Ahmad. He said, he knows better than to do this. What are you doing? Right? Continue.
Imam Ahmad ibn Mansur then said further, he pointed to me and said, "This one is too small to think to do something like this. But this one, this is from your actions." Then Abu Nu'aym al-Fadl ibn Dukkan kicked his leg and moved Yahya ibn Ma'in from the porch area. Abu Nu'aym then stood up, walked off and went into his house. Ahmad ibn Hanbal turned to Yahya ibn Ma'in and said, "Didn't I tell you not to do that? I said to you clearly, the man is trustworthy." Yahya ibn Ma'in said, "This action happening was more beloved to me than all of the scribal work that I've done."
Okay, so he said, this is more beloved to me. رَفَسْتُهُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِنْ سَفَرَتِي كُلِّهَا. Why? Because, I can see that he is who he said he is. Why would you test someone like this? Right? It's just the fact that he got extra attention from the Imam Abu al-Fadl. Right? He tested him out with the hadith. That's not from our hadith. That's not from our hadith. And wound up, unfortunately, getting negative attention. There are some slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who believe that all attention is good attention. Right? But they got negative attention. He said, the fact that he was singled out of all the classes, he's like, I love the fact that even though it was negative, he singled me out. Alhamdulillah. Right? I'm not invisible. I'm seen. Right? وقال حرملة بن يحيى سمعت الشافعي يقول عند قدومه إلى مصر من العراق: خرجت من بغداد وما خلفت بها أحدا أورع ولا أثقى ولا أفقه ولا أعلم من أحمد بن حنبل. قال الحافظ البيهقي: إنما قال هذا الكلام إمامنا أبو عبد الله محمد بن إدريس الشافعي رضي الله عنه عن تجربه.
Imam Harmullah ibn Yahya, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, I heard Imam Ash-Shafi'i saying upon arrival in Egypt from Iraq, I left Baghdad and did not leave anyone behind with more warra, taqwa, fiqh and ilm than Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Al-Hafiz al-Bayhaqi, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, our Imam Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, may Allah be pleased with this, only said this out of practical knowledge of his state.
قال الشافعي رضي الله عنه: أحمد بن حنبل إمام في ثمان خصال: إمام في الحديث، إمام في الفقه، إمام في القرآن، إمام في اللغة، إمام في الفقر، إمام في الزهد، إمام في الورع، إمام في السنة.
Imam Ash-Shafi'i, may Allah be pleased with him, uttered, Ahmad ibn Hanbal is Imam in some 8 characteristics. Imam in Hadith, Imam in Fiqh, Imam in Quran, Imam in Arabic language, Imam in Fiqh, Imam in Zuhud, Imam in Warra, and Imam in Sunnah.
ونقل الشيخ محي الدين النووي في تهذيب الأسماء واللغات عن الشافعي أنه قال: من رأيت أعقل من أحمد بن حنبل وسليمان بن داود الهاشمي.
The Sheikh Muhyiddin An-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy upon him, in abridgment of a catalogue of names and titles in the Arabic language, narrated from Imam Ash-Shafi'i, may Allah be pleased with him, that he said, I have not seen anyone with more intelligence than Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Sulaiman ibn Dawood al-Hashimi.
وقال البخاري: لما امتحن أحمد بن حنبل كنت بالبصرة فسمعت أبو الوليد الطيالسي يقول: لو كان الذي نزل بأحمد في بني إسرائيل لكان أحدوثه.
Imam al-Bukhari, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, when Ahmad ibn Hanbal was under the Inquisition, I was in Al-Basra, and I heard Abu al-Walid at-Taylisi saying, if Ahmad ibn Hanbal had been sent among the children of Israel, he would have been a legend among them.
Okay, so I say أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم. So we will pause here, inshallah. All right, and we will pick up for next week. Are there questions over what we read so far in the sections we've done? Yes, young man.
What is izar?
What is izar? Okay. Alhamdulillah. An izar is a large cloth that is worn as the sunnah, and it covers from your waist down to your ankles. So you step inside of it, then you wrap the left portion over, the right portion over, then you make a ball in the middle and you roll it down. And this is the sunnah of the Rasulullah. Some people still do the sunnah and wear this today. Right. So if you ask more details from your dad about this, he might be able to get you one in izar, inshallah. Okay? Yes.
Sheikh,
Salaam.
There's an expression used. I saw a man that looked as if there was a flame between his eyes.
Okay, so the question is, the statement that was made, I saw a man as if he looked like he had a flame between his eyes, what this expression means. Alhamdulillah. This is in reference to the light of the sunnah, the light of the religion. So when somebody stands firm on the religion, it goes back to a hadith of Rasulullah where he said, Naddara Allahu wajma. May Allah ennoble and fill with light the face of the one who hears a statement from me and narrates it exactly as he hears it. Right? That hadith is in Imam Suyuti's collection. So when he saw that between him, because he's narrating exactly as he hears it. Right, so that's the fulfillment of the hadith. Yes, young man.
I wanted to ask 2 questions. So what is the meaning of hijama?
Okay, alhamdulillah. The question is, what is hijama? Alhamdulillah. Hijama is a principal science in the religion that involves finding bad blood that's either no longer circulating or badly circulating in a given area. You then remove that blood. By removing that blood, which will be a jelly or dark blood clot color and consistency, by removing that blood or that jelly-like substance, it then increases or returns circulation and blood flow back to that area. Right? That's what that's designed to do. So it's designed where when you have issues with blood flow or circulation altogether, hijama can help restore circulation to an area. Now, a local doctor, because of the Hippocratic oath that he's taken and the fear of litigation, can't tell you this on the record. But off the record, he'll tell you that there have been certain instances where they would have been able to avoid amputation of limbs if they'd resulted to hijama, because it's capable of returning circulation back to the given limb. Now, because of litigation, science hasn't changed. Litigation, he can't say that on the record. But off the record, he will tell you that. Off the record. Second question?
Second question was, what is the meaning of Al-Qamah? It was a name.
Alqamah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So the question regarding the meaning of the name Alqamah. Alqamah is a type of plant. And it's one of the names. There's a companion that had this name, and there's also a follower of the companions who had this name. Okay. Yes, young man. Assalamu alaikum.
Got three questions. The first one is what does kunya mean?
Okay. The question is, what is a kunya? Alhamdulillah. Now, there's two things that have to be defined: a kunya and a laqab. A kunya is when someone has a child, their first child, the individuals will start to bear that name. So, someone has a child named Abdul Rahman. His kunya is Abu Abdul Rahman, the father of Abdul Rahman. This is the kunya, right? And in Arab custom, it's permitted for others to do it, but it's primarily an Arab custom. It's not given as a sunnah. It's primarily an Arab custom that someone will have a kunya. Ladies will have it as well, in which it will be If they have a child named Muhammad, it'll be Muhammad or Abu Muhammad. A laqab is a title that is given by someone to someone else on what they hope they might be or something that's inside of them. And this is a sunnah across the board. So the Rasulullah, he referred to Abu Bakr as As-Siddiq, the confirmer of the truth. He referred to Umar as Al-Faruq, the distinguisher between falsehood. He referred to Uthman as Dhun Nurayn, or Al-Ghani, the one who's independent from others. He referred to Ali as Al-Murtada, right? The one who's seeking the pleasure of Allah, and Al-Qadi, Al-Qadakum Ali, the most judicious of you in giving rulings is Ali, right? So he gives people these laqab, a laqab. It's a title on what you see in them, what you hope they might be. Now, after the first three generations, many of the laqab started becoming uddin, right? So a laqab is not your name. It's on what you hope you might be or something in you. So it starts becoming uddin, like Muwaffaquddin is his laqab, but his name's Abdullah, right? Muhyiddin is his laqab, but his name is Abdul Qadir, right? Zainuddin is his laqab, but his name is Ma'i, right? So all of them have these laqab on what is seen in them or what they hoped they might be. As usually given by a teacher to student, father of his son, or parent to the daughter. That's what the laqab is. It's a title of what they see in them, a presupposing of what they see in them. Because Imam Abdul Qadir Jilani, rahimahullah, when he was born, his mother called him Muhyiddin. He hadn't even done anything yet. So it's what you see in someone or what you hope they might be. Right? Okay. So you see the third question.
Just two more.
Yes.
I think it was when Imam Shafi rahimahullah was listing the characteristics of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, and he mentioned Imam al-Faqr.
Okay, faqr, the question is about the meaning of faqr. Faqr, and this is there's linguistic and then there's the technical sense. Linguistic means penury, someone in a state of absolute poverty. They're in worse state than the miskeen. So the faqr is destitute. Faqir is destitute. Miskeen is needy. But faqr in this sense is being used in the sense of the tasawwuf sense, where that person exercises iftiqar, absolute neediness to Allah, in the truest sense of the word. So they don't fear governors, they don't fear rulers, they don't fear. Their neediness is only to Allah. So when he calls him Imam al-Faqr, he meaning in his neediness to Allah and that he's set apart from everyone else. Huh?
Just the last one, Sheikh, it was in reference to, I think it's when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his hair was white, and he advised them to dye their hair, but I don't know if it's a misunderstanding or if I was misinformed when I was younger, but on the day of Qiyamah, isn't it that a white hair would be like a nur for you on the day of resurrection? It will be a light for you.
So the question is regarding whether or not the hair on the day of resurrection will be like light for someone, and why someone would use henna on it. Alhamdulillah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith in Imam Suyuti's collection said, the first one to receive gray hairs as we know them now was Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam, to which he said, indeed I've been increased in goodness and wisdom. But the act of using henna is something particular to this ummah of the Rasulullah. So using the act of henna to cover the hair, it's not to cover the hair, it's to beautify it. And so when they said that Imam Ahmad, oh, his hair was black and his beard was black, it was like, well, no, it might have appeared that way because of the henna that he had. Because the people that are narrating this about him, by the time they saw him, he was well into being an older man. So he would have had gray hair. But because of the fact that he used this henna, the particular khidab henna has a property within it that is similar to indigo. And so it will cause the hair to turn a color that's very, very dark to where it almost looks like it's black. Most of the people I tend to see using henna are using the Yemeni form of henna, which makes it really red, orangish red. That's most of what I tend to see, but you'll still see someone using the khidab around where they use it, but it's not as known for whatever reason that may be. Maybe because the Yemeni one's more easy to import, maybe, but I don't know the answer to that. No. Any other questions? Yes, young man.
Following on from that question, another hadith about the khidab. What's the takhrij for that one?
The takhrij for this is, it is in Imam Suyuti's collection cited through Ibn Adi. In fact, I believe it has been cited. Sorry, I'm just grabbing your copy, just straight out of his arms. Excuse me, because the notes that are in here, there is a listing of the actual hadith as well, which lists the use of it and how the Rasulullah advised him to do it. I will have to, if it's not here, I will have to probably find it. Yes, I'll have to find it, inshallah. So next week, inshallah, I should find it. But it is, I know that it is in Suyuti's collection, and Ibn Adi is one of the rawi of it.
I have another question. Do you know the statement about Al-Hajj Al-Muhasibi that was mentioned to Imam Ahmad about him engaging in topics on fear and longing? So what's that referring to?
Okay, so the question is regarding Al-Hadith al-Muhasibi discussing topics on fear and longing. This, alhamdulillah, this is in reference to, in the time of Imam Ahmad, there was the rise of what are known as the qusas, which were the storytellers. And these are people that would tell these stories in order to inspire people. And the people of the first few generations, they really disliked these stories where it's one thing if you say, your case is similar to a man that. That's an aphorism. That's an aphorism or a wise saying. But a story is where you narrate, like you say, there was once a man who he did this, and this, and then he did this, and then he repented 100 times after this. It's like, wait a minute, hold on, who was this? Oh, he's just a man. Wait a minute, hold on. You can't just narrate things like this, and there's no text from it, right? Whereas the other cases where you say, okay, this man is similar to this. Well, that's a metaphor now. Or he's like this. He's like a man that has two hearts. He's like a man that tries to live two lives. He's like a man that has two tongues. That's not, no one of us, unless it's cleft palate or something really severe, has met a man or a creature with two tongues. So we know it's not talking about that. It's a metaphor. But when you say, there was once this man or there was once a child and he disrespected his mother, and then at another point, after disrespecting his mother, when she told him to read the Quran, he kicked the Quran and Allah changed him into a fish. Now, it sounds funny, but then you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Did this happen though? Right? Like, what's the purpose of this and did it happen? Now that you can't, oh no, it's something I heard. From where though? Because what happens is it becomes the qusas, which means narratives, but in this sense, it took on a colloquial sense for storytellers, where people would sit in the masjid and they just tell these stories to inspire people. It's like, there's plenty in the first few generations to give people, and there's plenty of real stories in this life. You don't need to make up a story out of nowhere. And as a final example, Ali radiallahu anhu, he was in the masjid once, and a man sat down. This is in the first age, and he started to tell a story. There was once a man and some children gathered some sandals, and they threw them, and he was hit with like this huge body of sandals, and he was running, and he said, I don't understand why this happened. And Ali said, these children don't respect the storyteller. These are children. He said they don't respect the storyteller. The masjid isn't the place for that. Isn't the place for that. So before bedtime, something like that, that's one thing. But the masjid, those children, it wasn't adults. The adults didn't get a chance. The children threw the sandals because of the dislike of stories. And Imam Ahmad had a natural, because he's in the third age, he has a natural dislike, because he's in the third age, but he's seeing the Khalaf start to rise in his time, and he has a natural dislike of storytelling, talking about fear and longing. There was once a man who he wept so hard he died. Who is it? Right? Because people want to know, like, who was this? Well, he was just a man. Yeah, we know he was a man. But which man was this? Who was it? There was once a woman, she cried so hard her eyes came out and Allah blessed her with new eyes. Who was this? Who was this? Well, it was a Muslim sister. Who? Well, it was just a Muslim sister. Who? Did you know this person? Well, no. Okay, well, who was it? Right? Because if it's a true statement, that person becomes a sign for Allah and things like that. But if you're just making this up, this is a kadhib. Well, it's not like I'm saying a hadith. No, but you're fabricating real life incidents. This woman that cried until her eyes came out of the sockets and new ones grew in, that person does not exist. Right? It does not exist. The guy that he cried so hard he fell and he rolled back and forth and then he died and he actually dug his own grave while he was rolling back and forth, that person doesn't exist. That person literally doesn't exist. Right? Because when you say that, now the next person that was pretty good. Then the next time you hear it is the person rolled back and forth, he dug his grave, and light came from it. Then the person, he rolled back and forth, he dug his own grave, and light came from it, and there's a camphor smell that can be smelled even to this day. Then the person rolled back and forth, he dug his own grave, light came from it, it's a camphor you can smell to this day, and someone visited and he did the same thing, and now those two graves are next to each other, and the Muslim sister later came, and now they're married through the qabr, through the grave. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, they'll be resurrected together, rolling back and forth. Now, it sounds humorous enough, but when people add on to these things, because there's no textual sourcing for it. So now you're like, well, where did you get this from? And that's why I always tell slaves of Allah, be very, very careful about just mentioning things. There was a story of a man who had 3 legs and one fell off. Or there's a man who was on his way. He had 9 wives. He went to Ives. He had 3 cats, and with each 3 cats, he had 3 sacks. So, listen, that's poetry. But when you start to narrate about people to tell an incident, it actually removes real karamat that happen, real miracles that happen. You undermine those. So that's why the moment someone sends me, I saw this really good video, and I see there was a man, I just turn it off. Because it's like you get to the point that there's plenty of things in the Sunnah and all these other things. There once was a man and he said, who's this man? Who is this guy? Well, that's not the point. It actually is the point, because you're mentioning a guy who flew up to the sky, came back down without wings, and then he brought fish with him from the ocean supernaturally. It actually is really important. So this is why Imam Ahmad and others denounced widely this practice of giving stories of fear and longing in these narratives, because there's an inherent danger in it. Yes?
Sheikh, it said Imam Ahmad's son said he wanted to be buried at Al-Qadr because there's a prophet buried there.
Al-Qati'ah, yes.
Which prophet?
Okay, the question is about Imam Ahmad's son Abdullah wanted to be buried at Al-Qati'ah, and he wanted to be buried there rather than buried next to his father, and which prophet is buried there. Alhamdulillah, I will do research on that to find that out for next week, inshallah. Other questions? No? Yes, young man.
I've heard, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
I've heard sources that Ilyas alayhi salam was Khidr. Well, obviously this text is saying that Khidr and Ilyas are 2 separate people. Am I wrong in my understanding from previous sources, or is there any other, is there any other opinion on this matter?
Okay. Alhamdulillah. So the question is regarding the identities of Ilyas and Al-Khidr and what they share in common. This question, alhamdulillah, is a very good question, Now, I have a lengthy note on this in the actual text. So when the books come, there's a good sized note. I will make reference to that note and also have it cited in class for the benefit of ourselves and everyone else and those who are listening, because you ask a very good question. So there's a lengthy biography on Al-Khidr and there's a lengthy biography on Ilyas, and I think that will help things, because I could give an answer now, but it won't be as good as the note, which has the takhrij and the citation of the Arabic and where it came from and his entire lineage. And there's just a lot of things that just make it more useful if I do it in that capacity. So inshallah, when our books arrive from Castle Donington, inshallah, we will get on top of it from there. Any other questions? Okay, if there's no final questions, we will close from here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. We say subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk innahu ghafurur rahim wa la ilaha illa Allah. Wassalamu alaikum.